In a small town nestled between rolling hills, there lived a man named Daniel. He was an ordinary man with an extraordinary dream to become a great sculptor. Ever since he was a child, he loved carving small statues from wood and stone. But life was not easy for him. Daniel's family was poor, and his father wanted him to take over their small bakery. "Sculpting won't fill your stomach, son," his father often said. "We need you here." But Daniel's heart burned with passion. Every night, after finishing work at the bakery, he sneaked out to the old shed behind their house. There, he worked on his sculptures with whatever tools he could find. One day, he saw an announcement about a grand art competition in the city. The winner would receive a scholarship to study at the best art school. This was his chance. He decided to carve his greatest sculpture yet, a statue that would show the world his talent. But there was one problem. Daniel had never worked with marble, the material required for the competition. He had always used wood or soft stone. He had no teacher, no proper tools, and barely any money. Still, he refused to give up. He took extra work at the bakery, saved every penny, and finally bought a small piece of marble. His hands trembled as he touched it, felt smooth yet strong. "This is my chance," he whispered. The next morning, Daniel picked up his hammer and chisel. The first strike was too hard. It left a deep, ugly crack in the marble. His heart sank. "I've ruined it," he thought. His father shook his head. "Maybe it's a sign that you should focus on baking, son." But Daniel was not ready to quit. He studied how great sculptors worked, watching old books and listening to the few artists in town. Every night, he practiced with smaller stones until he learned how to control his strikes. Days turned into weeks. His hands became rough, covered in blisters. His back ached from bending over the marble for hours. Sometimes he felt like giving up. But each time doubt crept in, he reminded himself, one more strike, just one more. One evening, as he worked under the dim light of a lantern, a storm raged outside. A strong wind blew through the shed, knocking his lantern over. The fire spread quickly. Panicked, Daniel ran for water. But by the time he returned, the flames had already licked the edges of his sculpture. He stood frozen, watching his weeks of hard work being destroyed. His dream, his only chance, was turning into ashes. The next morning, he sat outside the burnt shed, staring at the half-ruined sculpture. His father placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "You gave it your best, son. Maybe it's time to let go." Daniel clenched his fists. His heart ached, but something inside him refused to break. "No," he said, "this is not the end." He took a deep breath, picked up his tools, and began again. The sculpture was damaged, but the fire had revealed something unexpected. Underneath the burnt surface, the marble had a unique texture, a pattern unlike anything he had seen before. Instead of giving up, Daniel used this to his advantage. He carved the scars of the fire into the design, shaping them into flowing lines that gave his sculpture a life of its own. Finally, the day of the competition arrived. Artists from all over the country presented their perfect, polished sculptures. Daniel stood among them, nervous yet proud. His sculpture was different, imperfect, scarred, but powerful. The judges studied his work, whispering among themselves. Then, one of them stood up and said, "This is remarkable. Tells a story of struggle and resilience. Who made this?" With a pounding heart, Daniel stepped forward. The room fell silent. Then, applause filled the air. He had won. Tears welled up in his eyes as he realized something. It wasn't about making something perfect. It was about never giving up, even when everything seemed lost. Years later, Daniel became a famous sculptor, and people from all over the world admired his unique style. But whenever someone asked him about his greatest work, he would smile and say, "It was the one that almost got destroyed, because in that moment, I learned that failure is not the end. It's just the beginning."